Hello, I've had ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, for 22 years. I'm now 60. There were a few things that I didn't think of from my last video that might be helpful. About coping with this illness. No matter how severe your illness is and how horrible it is, if you can find some time in the day, even if it's 10 minutes, to do something that you enjoy. It's very difficult because we never know how we are and what we can do. During my 22 years, I have managed to maintain certain hobbies. I haven't been able to maintain it all the time throughout the 20 years. You know, years go by and I can't do it, and then I go back to it. But for instance, I've always been a great reader, and I go through phases when I can't read and then times when I can read. So I've been trying to, on and off for 22 years, I've been keeping up my pleasure of reading. For instance, I researched the Holocaust, which might sound very depressing, but in fact, researching the Holocaust actually helped me an awful lot with ME and the symptoms coping. First of all, it made me grateful for what I had, and just reading the accounts of how people coped, the mental attitudes when they were in concentration camps. I've read a lot of books of people who've suffered in all sorts of ways, and I feel I've learnt things from them. Bits and pieces. As I say, it's all ad hoc with reading, with anything. I've also, all my life since I was a child, done tapestry. Again, over the years, I have completed, amazingly, tapestries. It might take years to get a tapestry completed, but it doesn't matter. It does get completed eventually. So I have had them framed and I have them up in my lounge so I can look at them. And it's a reminder of what I've achieved. Even though I'm ill, I spend 16 hours a day in bed. Everything. Obviously I'm not doing tapestry every day, I'm not doing it every week. I haven't done it for ages and ages. Well, it seems like ages, some months now. But I can say, well, I have achieved it. And I know if I just do small amounts, as and when, but it's all very ad hoc. Another thing I started with a webcam, drawing little pictures. It's a long story, but I discovered a website, or a design website, where you can upload designs, or you can create designs online on the website. It's free. And I have this little picture that I did on the webcam. I can't really draw, I can't really paint. I did a little picture of guinea pigs and things in a field. And I had it printed, and it came from America on cotton. And I thought, hey, this is really quite nice, I'd buy this, I thought it was quite nice. So I got onto the website and I started a very ad hoc day and night, if I felt up to it, to spend a few minutes doing designing. And then I've managed to get a software program very cheaply. I had great difficulties understanding it. It was the hardest thing, and I still struggle with understanding the information, the videos. I can't understand the videos, and it's not because it's not being explained properly, it's because simply I just can't understand it. I struggle understanding things. But I have, using the very simple functions of this software program that I bought, been able to create some really lovely designs. And this started 3 years ago, so it was very, very slow. You know, I might take a photograph of a daffodil in the garden, upload it and try and improve it, you know, sort of messing about with that, the other, and put it up for sale, and creating sort of collections. I started getting followers, which amazed me, from other designers. But this is all very ad hoc with the illness, as and when. And then people were showing an interest, and I put them up for sale. And it took about 9 months before I got my first sale. It's only small, and it has continued since. What has happened is it's a little new hobby that I started at the age of 57. I never would have believed with this illness I could do anything like this. Because I'm 16 hours a day in bed and everything. I don't do this when I'm in bed. I can't do anything when I'm in bed. I'm in bed because I feel so ill. I'm in a blacked out room. But it's all ad hoc, getting up day or night and just spending a few minutes, whatever, trying to, you know, do little designs. And because it's online, you can stop when you need to stop and then go back to it. And I have started selling designs now. The designs are selling. I'm not, I know my level. I'm not a great artist or painter, but the designs are selling. It's small, but it's consistent, and it seems to be growing, and I'm pleased. I can see I'm developing. I have forged friendships on the website. I follow them. I don't know how many followers I've got. About 60 followers. So, you know, you've got professional designers, you sort of taking an interest in that and commenting, and it's a nice little hobby that I found for myself that works with this illness, you see, because it's online. I suppose the main point of getting here is if you can find something, no matter how severe you're in, whatever category of ME you are, if you can find something each day that gives you pleasure, it doesn't matter what it is, you know, if it's watching Jeremy Kyle, anything, as long as you've just got time for pleasure, because when you spend so much time ill in bed, like I am in a blacked out room, and you're in a lot of pain, and migraines and muscle pains and nausea, so much nausea, you get up and you're struggling to try and cope with things like putting your washing in the machine or washing a few pots, things. Everything exhausts you. And it's very easy to just spend your life either in bed, feeling wretchedly ill, and then when you get up, just doing little household jobs, and that's it. And I think it's very important to try and find some space in the day. You might not be able to do it every day, but try and find a space in the day to do something, whatever it is that you enjoy, whether it's a crossword, whether it's, you know, cuddling your dog and stroking your dog and just having dog time, or your cat time, anything. It's finding those moments of minutes of pleasure. It's very, very important, I think, because it will help keep you going. And over a long period of time, I've found that you're getting good days, good weeks, bad weeks, a bad month, a very, you know, sometimes you can go through months when it's all very bad and then it peters off, it's not so bad. But it's all about finding something and having an interest. I suppose it's about having an interest in life, really. Because if you've got an interest, whether it's trying to finish a crossword or just trying to get yourself up off that bed, you know, I really want to watch Jeremy. I feel so ill, I don't feel like it. I'm going to really try. And you know, you just get up for 25 minutes, watch Jeremy Kyle, and then go back to bed. It's the fact of the pleasure, you know, and you are feeling ill, very wretched while you're watching Jeremy Kyle, but it just helps, it all helps. Another point I want to make is, and it's a very hard lesson, is you have to ask yourself, what sort of person am I by nature? Am I a trier? Am I the sort of person that always keeps trying? Or am I prone to laziness? This has got nothing to do with your ME. This is to do with the type of person you are. Are you naturally a bit lazy? Or are you the sort of person that always pushes yourself? Because that will determine how you cope with this illness. If you are prone to be a bit lazy, to be not bothered, to not make an effort, and this sort of thing, then it's going to make things harder for yourself. One of the things I found with this illness is sometimes you do have to push yourself, even though you are very ill. And when I say push yourself, I mean for important things. I'm not talking about doing things, being stupid. I'm not talking about lifting something very heavy. I'm not talking about going for a long walk and making your illness worse. What I'm talking about is there are times when you do have to push yourself. Um, you know, like for certain things, you have to. It comes from up here, and I think how you are up here does determine how you cope with this illness on a long-term basis. You wanted to become the sort of person who is always trying your very best. Um, and this is where you have to be honest with yourself. Am I really trying all my best, or am I being a little bit lazy? This is so personal, and it's being about really honest with yourself. And sometimes the fact is you do have to push yourself with this illness. I wake up after 16 hours in bed and I am so exhausted. My mouth is so dry. I live on my own. There's nobody to bring me a cup of tea. There's nobody to do anything. There's nobody to take me to the toilet. I know I've got to get myself off that bed and get some liquid inside me. Not just a few sips. I need to get myself a couple of cups of tea inside me. I need to get a piece of toast inside me. So I have to push myself off that bed. And I'm feeling wretched. I can hardly walk. My head is hurting. I'm feeling sickly, feeling queasy. But I push myself into that kitchen to have a cup of tea and to try and eat something. Again, sometimes you've got to make yourself eat something small, even though you don't feel like it. And this is where it gets very, very hard. But it's very important that at times like this that you do push yourself. I remember hearing a lady on one of these ME groups, and she was in bed all the time, and she was on the internet in bed all the time. But she said, well, that she hadn't had a wash for 2 weeks. So this is a lady bedbound, but she's on the internet all the time. Now, in my view, she's on the internet. That does require mental strength and certain degree of physical strength because you're having to raise your head up and things. So she is using strength and energy for being on the internet, and she's on there all day. And I'm thinking to myself, if you can do that, then she's obviously going to the toilet. She's going to the toilet. She's getting herself to the toilet. And I'm thinking, if you can get yourself to the toilet, then you can just fill a bowl of water and wash your face and wash your armpits, under your arms, under your bust. Go back to bed. An hour later, get up wash in between your legs, wash your tummy. Later in the day, a few hours later, get a sponge, wash your legs, sitting down, and wash your feet. In other words, you have to really push yourself and make an effort sometimes, and not just say, I can't get in the bath, I can't get in the shower. Well, if you can't get in the bath and you can't get in the shower, you have to find another way of doing it, and it simply means washing yourself with a sponge. Yes, your hands are hurting, yes, your hands are weak, but you've got to, a lot of it comes from up here, pushing yourself. You have to be determined. I want to wash myself. I don't want to smell. I don't want to stink. I want to change my knickers each day. You're struggling to get out of bed and you're struggling to change your knickers, but it's all about what's up here. And you do have to push yourself. And I'm saying this, I'm saying it particularly for people that make excuses and have always been like this. This is your nature. It's nothing to do with the ME. So I'm not attacking ME sufferers. What I'm addressing is your personality and the type of person you are. And being honest with yourself and saying, well, could you really not just try a little bit more? You know, you're saying you can't do this. Or maybe you can do something else and push yourself a little bit. I do understand that often you can't because of dizziness and things get off that bed. But you have to have the mental attitude that as soon as the dizziness stops, you must be motivated and wanting to get off that bed in order to go into the bathroom and wash your face, to clean your teeth. Very basic things like that. Because you don't want to neglect yourself. Because you're just going to spiral into depression. You have to continually looking at ways of trying to cope. If you can't cope one way, think about another way of coping. Constantly, when you're lying in that bed, try and think of different ways of coping. Right. You can't get to the hairdressers, but hairdressers could come to you. You could cut your hair at home. Use aids and gadgets to help yourself. Be of the frame of mind of always looking to help yourself. And don't be always expecting other people to do things for you. Don't get lazy, because if you are lazy by nature, it's very easy to just let everybody else do everything for you, right? And I would advise this against this. You will cope better in the long run if you maintain independence and do as much as possible for yourself. It's really, really important. And you will, even though you're struggling, you will find it satisfying because you can say to yourself, I did it. I did it. I had to crawl on my hands and knees to the toilet, but I did it. And so I don't mean that. So this is directed at people who are prone to be a bit lazy and perhaps like people feeling sorry for them. That, you know, be honest with yourself. Do you like people feeling sorry for yourself? Do you like the fact of people running around doing everything for you? Are you expecting everybody to do everything for you? Could you do more to help yourself? And this is one of the things when you're ill and you're isolated, you're in that black, dark room, you have to face yourself. You have to face who you are and the type of person you are. Don't be afraid. You know, face yourself, accept who you are, and then try and work on yourself, because it will benefit you in the long run to try and be as independent as possible. I would suggest that a wheelchair is a last resort, not the first resort. The last resort. Because if you don't use it, you will lose it. The first thing you will lose if you go into a wheelchair is your confidence. I've had so many falls. I won't go into a wheelchair. Although you're struggling walking about and you have balance problems and things, that pottering about that you do at home is your exercise. And even if you go somewhere, even though you're struggling and it's taking ages to go from moving about and everything, and it's tiring, it's exhausting and everything, all we know, you know all of that. It's better to, in a strange way, and it sound odd, it's better to be like that than to be in a wheelchair, because if you go into a wheelchair, you're going to start putting on weight, and that's not going to help you. Right, that's going to create more problems. Right, if you start putting on weight, you can't afford to be putting on weight. You're already slowed down with the illness and with being in bed so much. Um, um, it might be that you're going into a wheelchair and you like the attention you get from people and people fussing over you and sympathetic. Because if I know if I went into a wheelchair, you would get more understanding. And people say, oh dear, she's in a wheelchair, she must be really bad. But what is more important is to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. You're struggling, but at least just you're on your own 2 feet. So I would not advise. I would say it's a last resort, and friends and relatives have got to learn to be very patient with you walking slowly. I can understand friends and relatives wanting to and urging you to go into a wheelchair because they see you struggling and they're wanting to help you, and they think, well, you know, why walk if you're so exhausted and you're struggling? Isn't it better to just go into a wheelchair? That's how they're thinking. But I would say no. Struggle, 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 but at least keep yourself mobile. Keep yourself mobile. Um, and I think that's so very, 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 very important, is to try and do as much as possible for yourself. And to keep trying. You might go through phases where you can't do a particular thing, but it doesn't mean you will never be able to do it again. It might be some months down the line you could try that thing again and find you could actually cope, you could manage it. And that's what I found over 22 years, is there are times when you can't do certain things, and then you leave it a while, you try again, you still can't do it, but then sometime later you try it again and you're able to do it. So it's about, I suppose it's about never giving up, really, of always trying to do things and not just assuming never again, you see. Um, because you know, sometimes I got like that, you know, I thought, oh, I'll never be able to do this again. But then I found after months, at some point I was able to do it again a little bit. So, you know, if you try, you can't do something, leave it, try again a week later. You still can't do it, try again. And find something that you enjoy to do. Find something that you enjoy to do. Uh, and you find you want to look for a number of things, because depending on your symptoms, sometimes you might be able to listen to a little bit of music, and other times you won't, because you can't cope with it, can't cope with noise. And other times you can read, but other times you won't be able to read. Um, but it's trying to get some pleasure into your life. Um, and I would never have believed, after 18 years of ME, that I would have a little shop online, that I would be selling very small designs that I'd created online. I would never have believed it. I say it's just not possible. Because I am, very severe, I would say it's impossible. But in fact, I discovered, almost accidentally, that actually is possible for me to do this. Ad hoc, as and when. I don't put pressure on myself. There are months when I haven't been able to do anything, nothing. It's been so bad. And then I just perhaps have a good day and I go online and try and do a design, start a design. I might go back a week, 5 days later and then continue it. So in other words, you keep going back and trying. And I think it's developed in me certain characteristics that I never had at the beginning of this illness. And I think that's perseverance. I think it's on an inner level made me more resilient at some level, although I'm very, very weak. I think up here it's made me a bit tougher up here, not physically, so I guess it get worse, but I think up here there's more resilience, and I found it's trying to keep a good attitude that helps. And uh, um, when I'm in a lot of pain, I find watching television helps. Watching television helps. I don't know why this is, but it does help to reduce pain a little bit. I don't know why this is. The brain's very complicated, but it helps a little bit. Also, it's getting absorbed in something, even if you don't feel fully concentrated. It can help with pain, I found. If you have a little garden, sitting in the garden even with sunglasses for a few minutes. 10 minutes sitting in the garden with sunglasses. Have a plastic chair outside. You could just go in, sit down for 10 minutes with your sunglasses on, even though there's no sun, and just sit there for a few minutes. You love the fresh air. I love the fresh air. When you've been bedbound a lot, you sit in the garden for 10 minutes and the air smells beautiful. You can smell the grass, you can smell the fresh air. It's glorious. You look at the trees and you see the little birds, and you look at the weeds even. You think, oh, doesn't it look lovely? Everything looks lovely. It's amazing. I look at weeds and think, oh, isn't it a lovely shade of green? And you can just get pleasure in something like that, looking at you. Look at your weeds in your garden. Um, um, and and I suppose, don't apologise, don't feel bad about spoiling yourself. Give you treats, not overeating or anything, or over drinking or drinking. I don't mean like that, but make a fuss of yourself, because quite honestly nobody else will do it. Make a fuss of yourself. Make yourself comfortable. Make yourself comfortable. Try and make the room that you're in, your bedroom, as comfortable as possible, as pleasant as possible. Um, um, do online shopping. Don't exhaust yourself going to the shops. Use online shopping for all your groceries, for all your shopping. Don't exhaust yourself going round. Every day you must say to yourself, regarding household tasks and also looking after your personal hygiene, you must do everything in the order of importance. So you have a number of things that you need to do. You need to shower, you need to wash your hair. And the kitchen floor looks disgusting. Right, well, it probably isn't, but, it's not up to your standard, and, there's bits on the floor and things. You have to do things in the order of importance. The order of importance on this occasion is keeping yourself clean. Keeping yourself clean and washing your hair is the number one priority. And the second is the kitchen floor. Remember that. Get your priorities right with whatever needs doing. You cannot do everything at once. You don't have the strength and energy. You have to think, what is the most important thing to do? Lower your standards a little bit. You can't be a perfectionist in your home like you used to. Don't use a vacuum cleaner. Buy a Beck's Bissell with a brush on it. It cleans just as well, if not better. I use it, been using it for a couple of years now. It's brilliant. There's no pushing and heaving of a vacuum cleaner. No dragging something round. No. Use a Beck's Bissell. Right? You're always looking for gadgets that can make things a bit easier for you. Arrange your kitchen, everything so it's at a chest level, so you don't have to keep reaching all the time. Now, it is good to practice reaching if you can, but we're talking sort of, again, I'm talking a bit about sort of common sense. If you're struggling, you've got something right at the top, then rearrange your kitchen. Rearrange your kitchen to make it easier for you, right? You have to be careful because when you reach, you can lose your balance and then fall. It might be you need to contact social services. They can come and do an assessment. I've had an assessment by an occupational therapist, and he put in a walk-in shower with special non-slip flooring, and it has a seat, and that's been wonderful. Fantastic. Never get into a bath or get into a shower when you're feeling exceptionally ill or dizzy, or you feel you're going to sort of pass out, or you think you're just in a very, very severe bad way. Don't do it. Don't take risks when you're on your own. If there's nobody there to supervise you, then it means you just have to have a sink wash. Get a flannel, wash under your arms. This is what people did before baths and showers. They just do a body wash, and you can do that. So you're looking for things to make your life easier, but you don't want to get yourself becoming like, what you want to avoid is where everything is done for you. You really want to be aiming for to keep as independent as possible. It's, I change my bed when I'm able to. I change my bed either between 7 days and 14, right? My goal is to change it once a week, obviously. That's what we all like. But I don't know what time of day or night I would be able to do it as a single bed. So I change my bed when I feel I can actually do it. It could be at 3:30 in the morning. If I'm still awake and I feel I can do it, I will do it at 3:30 in the morning. If 4 a.m. is the only time when I feel it's safe and I feel I can cope with a shower, a sit-down shower, walk-in shower, then I'll shower at 4 in the morning. I frequently shower at 5 a.m., 3 a.m., 2:30 in the morning. Because sometimes that is the safest time because of my symptoms for me to do it. If that is the only time to do it, then I will do it. It is quite bizarre. I could be feeling wretchedly ill all day, go to bed wretched, dizzy, everything. And I can get up at 2 a.m. to go to the toilet, and suddenly I'm not feeling dizzy. and I'm feeling, I think I could just about manage getting in that shower, sit down. I feel, reasonably alert. I feel it's safe. I'm on my own. I'll be all right. You see, it's a judgment call. You always stop and think before you do something. And so I will shower at 2 a.m. I only got up to go to the toilet, but I end up showering because I couldn't shower the day before because I was too dizzy. So you've got to be flexible. And it is a bit crazy, but you get used to it and it becomes the new normal. What does it matter? What does it matter? If you have a single bed or even a double bed, you have to find new ways of coping. You can break it down changing a bed. Take off the quilt cover, lie down a few minutes, get up, take the bottom sheet off, put a clean sheet on the bottom, lie down for 20 minutes, get up, put a clean duvet cover on, lie down again. And I know a lot of you say, oh, I can't be bothered with all that. I can't be bothered with all that. I'll pay somebody, get somebody to do it for me. No. I would say, no, do it. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Don't pay somebody to do it, because what you're doing is you're exercising. You are exercising. You need to, this is your exercise. This is your physiotherapy. Right? Stretching, reaching. It is strenuous. It's a bit hard going, but do it. Do it. It's not going to kill you. It is. You're going to lie down and feel a bit wiped out from it, but it's not going to kill you. And it's being of that mindset. I'm going to try and do as much as possible for myself. And if it means changing the bed at 2 in the morning, then I'll change it at 2 in the morning. But I don't want somebody to do it for me. I know on a long-term basis it's not really helping me, because I'm just left feeling inadequate. Right? You might say, well, get somebody to do all your housework and then you can stay online doing all your designing. First of all, I haven't got the mental strength to be doing, all of that online designing. And the second thing is I want to do it myself. I want to change my own bed. I want to clean my own toilet. I want to clean my own toilet. I don't want somebody cleaning my own toilet. I scrub it and I have to go and sit down and rest my hand. Go back to the toilet, scrub again, go back, sit down. I want to clean my own toilet. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how long it takes. I am going to finish cleaning that toilet. I don't want a dirty toilet. And that's where the sense of achievement is, that you look around and you think to yourself, well, it's not too bad here. It's not too bad. It's not perfect. There are bits on the floor. You can't keep the high standard of when you were well. But you can look around and you think, my home's quite presentable. And it's because of this mindset of being so determined to do small bits. I've spoken to so many old ladies in my life, and elderly ladies living on their own with numerous health problems. They do exactly what I'm doing. They do everything in bits. They say, Monday I'm going to do this, Tuesday I'm going to do that. They have a little routine. Some days they can't do it, but then they'll do it another day. In other words, so you go in these old ladies' homes and you think, you can see they can hardly walk, they're coughing, they're chesty, they're this, they're that, they've got everything wrong with them. But you look around, you think, how do they do it? They do it. They keep their homes really quite nice because they're breaking all the tasks down and doing small amounts each day. Small amounts. Small amounts. Keep it small. Keep it small. They take pride in the little things of keeping the kitchen surfaces clean, of all these little jobs. And it's if you do these little jobs each day, even when you're feeling gross and you've got a terrible headache, your eyes are stinging, oh, there's a pain here and you just can't get rid of it, just a little bit, and then you look at your kitchen surface and it looks nice and clean, and you feel good. You think, oh, it looks nice, it's nice and clean. You feel shit but your work surfaces are clean, and it is very satisfying, um, and because over the years many people said that, how do you, because you see how I am, that I don't have anybody coming in. I don't want anybody to do it for me. I want to do it. And it's that determination and bloody mindiness up here. It does have an impact. If you are very, very determined up here, it will have an impact. There's no doubt about it. I have found over 22 years that this can enable you to perhaps do certain things, right? It's it's the motivator, it's the pusher, and the mind and body, all connected. And this is a physical illness, but there's no doubt that if you are so strongly motivated to be independent, to as soon as you are able to have a shower, as soon as you're able to have a body wash, as soon as you're able to clean the sink, it's that constantly up here motivation. I'm going to do it as soon as this dizziness recedes a bit. I'm going to get off this bed and try and do something. I'm not going to have other people doing it for me. This is my view. I know a lot of people would disagree with it, with severe ME. But I've spent the last 16 years, 18 hours, 16, the last 22 years I've spent 16 hours a day in bed in a blacked out room. That's my life. But somehow I managed to, through this determination and being on my own and having nobody to help, and really I don't find people do want to help, to be honest. When I've asked for help, you just get nowhere. People don't want to help. People don't want to get involved. And I can actually do a better job myself. Then when they do try, they're a bit slapdash and things. They're not very good. And you think, well, I'm not well, but I can do a better job than you can. They're not, you know why? They're not motivated. I'm motivated. I'm motivated. There was a man that lived across from me, disabled. He had a stroke, an elderly man, about 85, the loss of one arm. He only had one arm like that. And he had a little thing round his neck, and he used to put lawn seed in it. His wife put the lawns. Oh, he took it. No, he did it himself. He'd take it out of the box, put it in this little little thing round his neck, go in the garden, and throw out the lawn seed. And I saw him doing that, and I thought, wow, that is incredible. That was incredible. 85 years old, only the use of one hand, had a stroke, and he was there putting out the bird seed. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary. And these people are great examples. You look at them and you think, wow, that is the way to go about things. I had another elderly man, again in his about 85. Every day he would be out with his Zimmer frame, trying to walk very, very slow. You're so slow trying to walk. Every day is little constitutional, about 11 a.m. every day. Took him ages and ages, but you'd see him in all weathers out there, and it made a deep impression on me. And I thought, this is the way. This is the way. You look at somebody like that, you can't help but admire them, because they are determined to be as independent as possible. And I never expected to be talking so long, but it's like a train of thought. You think of one thing, then you think of something else to say. I hope this video has been helpful to you. And this is not any of the things I say is not an accusation against people. If you can't, I'm not judging people with ME that can't do things and are in bed with dizziness and things. I'm not judging you. I just want to give you the benefit of 22 years of experience of this illness, and what's helped me, I found, of trying everything to help myself and to be very honest with myself. And I do often ask myself, I don't want to become apathetic. That is probably very, very important, is not getting apathetic, because because we do get low with this illness, and it's very easy to become apathetic. And when you become apathetic, then you don't push yourself. And sometimes with this illness, you do have to push yourself. Every now and again, you have to push yourself. But as soon as you've done what you have had to do, then you go and rest. And I hope this has been helpful. And you've enjoyed looking at all the leaves.